Hey everyone, this is Shrimpologist, and in this video I'm going to be giving you 3 principles that you should sort of focus on if you want your shrimp tank to end up looking like the one you're seeing on screen. So stick around and we'll get right into it. There's a lot of information online, and given how obsessed I am with shrimp, I have seen literally 100 plus videos on shrimp care and tank setups and all these things, and I have sort of diluted that down into 3 things that the people I really respect and the people with the best results have suggested, and these things are what I emulate in my tanks, and I've had a lot of success too. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is surface area is absolutely king. It matters so much. And the reason that is because surface area grows biofilm, and biofilm is quite literally the most beneficial food that you can feed your shrimp. And luckily, you don't even have to do anything to grow it. It just grows. So things like dragonstone or lava rock or fine gravel, even just sand, these things are really amazing for growing biofilm because there's just so much surface area for it to colonize. And again, the more you can get in your tank, the more surface area, the better. So if you think about if you just have a glass box, if you were to calculate the surface area of the tank, it'd be pretty low. But then let's just say you just add a gravel substrate. And now that surface area is, I would say, orders of magnitude higher. And then you add dragonstone and lava rocks. Now, it's exponentially higher. But the best thing for surface area and biofilm is actually the next principle I'm going to talk about. And so the next principle ties in perfectly with the last one, and that I genuinely believe the best way to grow biofilm and to add surface area to your tank is to grow moss. When you look at moss, you can see that there are endless branches and tendrils and little nooks and crannies and surface area for these things to colonize. Not to mention that the buried mothers feel a lot safer when they're releasing their babies into the moss. Every single time my buried moms give birth, they go and hide in the moss to release their babies. So 1, it makes the babies feel safer when they're hatched. 2, the moms like it. And 3, the babies, when they're born, they don't starve. They have biofilm immediately at their access. Not to mention that the moss itself is catching the free-floating particles of whatever you're feeding your your other shrimp or your other fish or whatever it might be. So I really believe that if you can grow a huge clump of moss, if you can grow moss, you will be growing shrimp as a byproduct. I stand behind moss more than anything in my tanks. It is so important. Now, this third principle might sound obvious, but it is incredibly important, and it is that food is the limiting resource to population growth in a healthy tank. Now, I'm sure you've heard a million times, my last couple videos ago, I talked about overfeeding is a huge issue in the shrimp keeping hobby and in the aquarium hobby in general, but when it comes to increasing the population of your tank, you can limit your population accidentally by not feeding enough. Obviously, overfeeding is a problem, underfeeding is too. If your shrimp don't have enough to continue producing eggs, producing eggs is hard. Pregnancy is hard for a shrimp. If you don't give them excess nutrition to where they feel like they can safely undertake, 30 eggs, 40 eggs, they're not going to do it. So I don't recommend that you go to your tank and start throwing handfuls of food in right now. I don't recommend that. But I do recommend that you should up your feeding and monitor closely. So do daily tests, make sure that your ammonia is good, make sure your nitrates are reasonable, and keep an eye on the shrimp. I don't want you to kill your shrimp by getting experimental, but if you've noticed that your shrimp aren't breeding as fast as you want, there's a bunch of females that are saddled, but they're never having actual eggs, or whatever it might be, I highly recommend that you sort of increase your feeding and do it carefully. This needs to be a measured endeavor. So, maybe write down how much you're feeding so that you don't forget and you increase too much or whatever it might be. But food is the limiting resource at a healthy tank. That wraps up the list, and I hope this video inspired you to sort of focus on these central components of shrimp keeping and shrimp breeding. I think you'll see a lot of positive results if you really take it to heart. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing, and if you have any thoughts or comments on this video, please leave them down below. I love to hear what you have to say, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might be having about your shrimp or this video. Thank you so much for watching. Happy shrimp keeping.